Hey guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about medication. You know, I've gotten a lot of emails and messages from a lot of you about medication. And, you know, because of everything that we've been going through and because of all the stress and trauma that the world has experienced and possibly even are returning to, right? I'm hearing reports that, you know, although things are getting a little bit better, there's still some possibility that, you know, people could get sick with corona, and people can also feel really overwhelmed by, you know, the news and by some of the deaths in their families and close, you know, friend group. So because of all of that, you know, I think it's important to talk a little bit about medication. Sometimes medication is what you need to get through, and I think there's a lot of preconceived ideas, there's a lot of fears. And so because of that, I think if I explain some of the medications that are available to you, it may help you just a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed, and for those who are new, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing and validating community. The benefits for you in today's videos, I'm gonna highlight something that can kind of help you weed, you know, what's good for me, what's not good for me. So let's just go ahead and get started. So when you think about medication, I know you're thinking, I don't want anything to alter my brain. I don't want anything to alter, you know, my heart and alter the physiology of my body, right? I don't either. I'm not a med pusher. And even in my practice here, I don't even push medication. Like, I try to make sure that I, you know, give families and children and the adults that see me some room to, you know, really make an educated decision. I give them the information when it's necessary. And then there are times where I'm like, you know what? I don't think that this is what we need to do. So appropriate knowledge is power. Like I said in a couple videos ago, you know, self-knowledge is huge. So let's go ahead and just jump in and talk about some of these medications, okay? Hopefully it'll put your mind and your heart at ease. So the first class of medications that a lot of people really do have a hard time with because of reports of, you know, increased suicidal thoughts, and the reports of the FDA put in a black box warning on the medication, which basically says, hey, look, here is, I'm gonna actually fix my camera, guys, because there's something going on here. Okay, sorry about that. You know, the black box warning basically says that this medication has had some pretty serious implications in the past. And so because of that, we're just going to go ahead and put a warning, you know, but that warning kind of caused people to really exaggerate, you know, some of the information, and it caused them to feel a little bit afraid. The first class of medication that had the black box warning put on it is the SSRIs. Look, this medication has not only been marked as a potential cause of suicidal thoughts, but it's also a potential cause of other serious medical conditions, and there's a whole lot of side effects. So the first medication that really did blow up in the media and cause fear is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And that is a class of medications that really do treat depression. They sometimes treat anxiety. They work on increasing the level of serotonin in our brain, okay? Serotonin is a neurochemical. High levels of serotonin in the brain, we are less likely to feel depressed. Now, there's some research that says that this whole chemical theory is really questionable. So, you know, there are some people who do not believe in this whole chemical theory, but just for the purposes of this video, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors really do seek to target serotonin, increase the drug, or the chemical, I should say, serotonin in the brain. With high levels of serotonin, we have less depression. With low levels of serotonin, we have a little bit more depression. There have been reports in the past from families and adolescents that they have had increased suicidal thoughts with the medication. The reality of it is the medication most likely clears the depression so much that it allows the individual to feel less depressed, okay? And when you feel less depressed, you're probably going to start thinking of how to commit suicide. So the medications that are considered SSRIs are Prozac and Lexapro and Paxil and well, fluoxetine is also Prozac. Okay, so you're likely to see both of those labels, Prozac or fluoxetine. But there's also Lexapro, there's also Paxil, and there's Zoloft. Those are all SSRIs. Okay, so that's one class. Let's move over to the other class. So the other class is known as MAOIs. Those are monoamine oxidase inhibitors, okay? Monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and I'm going to put it right over here since it's a hard word to say. These MAOIs are medications that really do targets, or it really does target, I should say, a particular chemical in the brain. So it's an enzyme inhibitor, and it really does inhibit certain chemicals in the brain so that other chemicals can be at a certain level and decrease depression. So MAOIs are pretty lethal, and they're lethal because you can eat certain things and it can kill you. You cannot eat cheese. Wine is another issue, or alcohol. There's a couple of other foods that you cannot eat because it's inhibiting an enzyme that allows you to eat those foods. So when you take an MAOI, which, you know, these are probably medications you've never heard of, but an MAOI is like Parnate, Nardil, Marplan. Okay, I'm going to put them over here for you. Those are MAOIs. They are used to treat really resistant and severe depression. When SSRIs haven't worked, when SSNRIs haven't worked, we're going to get into that, and when tricyclic antidepressants haven't worked, MAOIs are usually the ones that we go to, okay? And we go to them because, again, the depression is resistant and it tends to be rather severe, okay? So MAOIs are pretty lethal. You can't eat certain things. Your diet has to be altered. You know, it could lead to death if you eat the wrong things. The list goes on, okay? And there's a high rate or risk of side effects. Side effects are pretty severe with MAOIs, okay? So let's go to the next class. That's the second class. Now, the third class is known as selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, okay? So SSNRIs. SSNRIs are also antidepressants, but they focus on norepinephrine, which is another chemical in the brain that when it's low, it causes depression. So we're talking about Pristiq, Cymbalta, Effexor. I think there's like Strattera, there's Ultram. These are all medications that are SSNRIs. And so not only is it working on serotonin, but it's also working on norepinephrine. And these medications are used to increase both of those neurochemicals in the brain so that depression will be reduced, okay? So with SSNRIs, we're working on two chemicals in the brain, norepinephrine and serotonin. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, are only just working on serotonin, okay? And the final class, and there's like a whole bunch of classes, but the final class that I'm going to talk about in this video is known as tricyclic antidepressants. And these are the really old medication because they have the highest rate of side effects, and you're less likely to adjust to them as well as you would an SSNRI or an SSRI. All right, so tricyclic antidepressants also work on serotonin, but they also work on other parts of the brain like dopamine chemicals and norepinephrine, acetylcholine. These are all neurochemicals in the brain that this medication tends to target. There's a lot of side effects, right? So we have constipation, we have dry mouth, we have dizziness, sometimes racing heart, you know, high blood pressure, profuse sweating, and there's also sexual side effects as well. Pregnancy can be a little bit difficult with these medications. They're not as safe as the SSRIs. So there's a lot of side effects that can occur with this class of drugs. Now, let me point out what they are, and you guys have most likely heard of them, and you may be taking them because they can sometimes be used to, you know, treat medical conditions like migraine headaches and epilepsy, right? So the class of drugs, the names under the specific medications under this class would be amitriptyline, imipramine. Okay, we also have tofranil, right? And you guys have probably heard of these. These again are tricyclic antidepressants, and they have a high rate of side effects, and so it's really difficult to really zone in on depression when you've got all those side effects, right? You know, you want to get the depression under control, and yet you're sweating profusely, or your mouth is dry all the time, or you're constipated, or you're not able to have a healthy sexual relationship with your husband, your wife, right? So because of that, you know, these drugs are usually the last. Now, let me also point out drugs for anxiety. This is also really important for you guys. So anxiety medications, would be medications such as Buspar or Buspirone, right? You're going to see either one of those. So Buspar, Buspirone, Ativan, right? Ativans, you can usually take them as needed. And you usually take them at the moment that you're feeling anxious. And then there's Xanax. And Xanax is it's a pretty heavy drug. And it's a medication that I usually don't suggest my families pursue unless they have really, really, really tough anxiety. As you know, Xanax is sometimes sold on the street. So, because of that, it obviously has some pretty strong properties. So Xanax is something that I always consider a last resort medication for people that come to my practice. But Ativan is usually good for a quick in the moment panic attack or a quick in the moment something to take because you're feeling anxious. And then we also have, what's the other one, guys? The Buspar, the Buspirone, and that is a pretty good medication. You can start as low as 5 milligrams. You can go 10, you can go 15, you can go all the way up to over 20 milligrams. And Buspar is pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of side effects. It usually works as soon as you take it. Your body has to build up, the medication has to build up in your body, I should say. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, so that it can be most effective. So you have to continue to take it. It doesn't really make you that sleepy. Of course, medications perform differently in different people, but for my clients who are using them, I don't really see too many side effects with them, and they seem to function just fine. So these are all medications that I have gotten questions about on my YouTube page. Some of those questions I haven't approved because they were more personal. So I think I got at least 15 posts or messages on YouTube about medications. I figured this video would be helpful to you. If you have a question about medication that you're taking or interested in, or just medication in general, go ahead and post that in the comment section below. I'm open to talking about it with you guys. I think this is an important topic, especially for certain cultures. Now, let me throw this in here before we wrap up, that there are certain cultures and religious groups who refuse to try medication. Now, Christianity, Protestant churches, Baptist churches, Pentecostals, they really try, and Catholics, they try not to utilize medication because they feel that they are opening themselves up to side effects, being drugged up, changes in personality, and the list goes on. And while that is true, I think that's really small compared to the depression that you are most likely feeling and dealing with and struggling with. So, I often tell those religious families, I myself identify as Christian, and I grew up in a Christian home and lived my life as a Christian. But I also know that there's a limit to that, right? That there is a time and a place for medication and therapy, and it is okay to go to a therapist as a Christian, as a religious person, and say, you know what, I think I've lost control here. I need some medication. All right. Now, for certain cultures like African Americans, Native Americans, Hispanics, Latinas, Hawaiians, these are groups who would prefer not to take medication, right? They tend to lean more towards the natural parts of health. And actually, I'm going to do a video on that, so stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about some holistic ways that you can heal yourself. Indian clay. We're going to talk about dandelion, chemicals. I mean, you're going to love that video, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. But there are more, natural ways to heal yourself that these particular cultures tend to lean towards. But again, I think there's a limit, there's a line, and there's a time and a place when you just have to say, you know what, this dandelion tea and dandelion leaves are not helping me. I'm gonna have to go to get some medication. And for those who like to take marijuana that you get off the street, you know absolutely nothing about what's really in there, so you don't know what you're doing to your body there, right? So I would rather trust a medication than marijuana that I get off the street. So weighing those pros and the cons and doing a cost benefit analysis, which I talk about up here, and just learning how to make those decisions for yourself medically is utopia. We're going to continue to talk about these things, guys. These are all things that can help you with trauma symptoms, can help you with stress, PTSD, depression. So I do hope this video was helpful. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about some holistic and natural ways that you can heal yourself. I think you're going to like that video. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.